Good afternoon, everybody. It's about 1 o'clock, 6th of September, 2023, of course. And I got off on Partizansky Platz. We're the partisans. I'm in the Partisan Nation. And I was not too far from here before, and they had a forest. This might even be the same forest, but maybe on the different sides. So I'll show it over here. And yeah, well, I guess that's a factory. It looks too good to be a factory on the outside. I'll show it to you in a second here, but it's apparently where they're making like maybe cogs and ball bearings and such like that for tractors and oil wells, maybe for Russia. I don't know. I don't think Belarus has that. But here I'll show you the picture here of this. This is the factory. And that's the picture here. Apparently those are the uses for the product that they make. Looks like maybe heating or power generation and oil and melting of metals and maybe tractors, mining I guess. Trying to make that picture paint 1,000 words. So anyway, today's kind of a good day, but I'll just be very brief on that before I start talking about some news here. You know, I looked into some class. I've been looking for over a week, trying to find out a better way to learn Russian, because how it is with me right now, it's like I don't speak any Russian. I took that one class, even though it was cut short, but I had a very good basis. And if I would just have a way to practice the Russian, I could have really capitalized on the training that I had. But like I said, I wasn't in any kind of environment, and this time I'm going to do things a lot differently. I'm going to try to put myself in a different environment to actually learn Russian, or not really learn, practice it, because learning, you pay for some school. And I found a school, and there's 4 students, and they're all about my age, I guess, very, very young, 23 years old, and very handsome like me, these guys. And I haven't met them or nothing yet, but it's supposed to start on the 1st of October. And one is, if they're not all Chinese even, one is, it's actually just 4 people, I believe. Well, our group will make 4 people. One is from Italy, one is from Iran, one is from Syria, and I'm from the US. I don't know, maybe they're going to have more people. They will not have groups. This is through the University of Belarus, Minsk, and they will not, if there's 20 people, they won't take it. The maximum, I think, is 10 people. Sounds like it's very good. Just saw something up here. Look at, these are employees of the month, I'm guessing. But look at that, some old symbol of Soviet Socialist Republic. Normally, if that would be Belarus, I'd have a B in there. So the last letter would be a B instead of the Russian R, which is actually a P. In our alphabet, it's a P, and theirs it's an R. So the P has an R sound. Very confusing, as you know. So anyway, it's not from Belarus. So now I'll get into the news here a little bit. Okay. I don't want to start there. That's the end of it. Yesterday, Putin was sort of like answering, or actually elucidating on a question that I always have, that I can't understand. And so he kind of answered why. I was always asking, why do they have Jewish people like Zelensky, Rezhnikov, and all these, running Ukraine, and yet they all support Nazism, which is normally anti-Jewish. So that's very strange. I never could understand it. But what Putin said yesterday, I've been asking this question for like 1.5 years already, almost from the very beginning. And he said that it is disgusting that the West has put a Jew at the head of Ukraine to cover up the anti-human nature of those that control Ukraine. And he said also that the people in Israel are not really that happy about this either. So I guess that's why they haven't really jumped on the bandwagon even though U.S. is heavily pro-Ukrainian, they haven't jumped on the bandwagon necessarily. They've been doing some kind of help, I guess, which is kind of understandable. It's sort of like Erdogan helping Ukraine out. They don't want bad relations for Ukraine, and I think they want to be a mediating party. So that's one reason why they let those, I think it was 4 Nazis go, even though they promised or agreed not to let them go, and they let them go back to Ukraine. So, and that was a big, maybe a big problem why Putin was not meeting with Erdogan for such a long time. That's just my guess. And well, anyway, obviously the Israelis are not really that overjoyed about it. As a matter of fact, I remember hearing, I think it was either a former head or the head of the Mossad talking about Zelensky. He did not have any very favorable words for him at all. So, yeah. He also said, Putin, I believe it might have been near the same meeting, or at least near the same time, he was saying that in Europe, they've completely lost their memory. Nazism has become a norm in Poland and the Baltics. And they twist and use history to please politics. Instead of the other way around, you know, history should be part of a guide for politics, but instead they do it the other way. You know, and that's why they are like what they are. I was actually going to go over to this forest, but especially now if the sun isn't behind a cloud, very dark over there. It's more of a park forest, but very thick. So it's very dark over there. This other one, it's like the trees have grass below it, which is also very strange when you think about it, because these types of trees, let me go look again. As you notice, I'm very interested in a lot of aspects of agriculture, so I want to just go look to be sure, because these needles are acidic, and that makes you really wonder. Maybe it's certain types of grass, or maybe I don't know. Do all grasses grow well in acidic environments where these needles fall? Just to look. I don't know if you are all curious about that, but it looks like it does grow here. Actually, maybe it should be higher and it should be greener, because this grass is in the shade a lot more. That's just my analysis. Kind of crazy, isn't it? So, like I said, it's mostly all coniferous trees. Mostly all the same kind. This one here is a Douglas fir. Douglas fir, and the rest of these are some sort of pine. So, okay. Okay, let's see, what else do I got here? Australia. They're getting more and more involved in this deal in Ukraine. And I don't know, Australia unfortunately has gone crazy. You know, that was one of the countries that, you know, people from America looked at, you know, to be like America used to be. It's a little bit like Canada. Canada always used to be a country, at least the government, with good intentions and all, and now they have a really nasty government, you know, in Trudeau. And we always used to look at Australia as being the symbol of more freedom, you know, and the open spaces and whatnot, but now it's not like that at all anymore. People look at me until I look at them, maybe. Like I said, I don't really like. It's better in big crowds or when there's nobody around, because then nobody pays attention to you. So, but they're getting more involved, and in what ways? Oh, well, okay. I guess they're making cardboard drones, and I was thinking it was some sort of a what we call battlefield deception in the U.S. Army, you know, or BAT-D. They call it BAT-D, and that was something, you know, stemming a lot from Rommel. You know, the Nazi general of the Africa Corps in North Africa. And strangely enough, like I might have mentioned already before, we had the barracks that was our motor pool, was actually where they had the major contingent of Africa Corps. A lot of his tanks and all that were stationed there in World War II, and here were the Americans taking it over, I guess, in the 1980s, at least where I was stationed. So, but these cardboard drones are actual real drones, and they load them with explosives. Of course, they're lightweight, very, very cheap, and I guess they're looking for an alternative to these Jiran drones that that Russia has, which are, I think, I don't know how much they cost. I was thinking, but it sounds like a lot of money to me. I think it was 20,000 or something each. Sounds like a lot of money, but these cardboard ones, of course, are going to be a lot cheaper. And I'm still going to go over there, but wait for some of these people to clear out. Okay, what else are they doing? Yeah, well, that news was put out from Maria Zakharova just yesterday. And of course, it's been known they're trying to find ways to use more drones in Ukraine, maybe trying to match what Russia, the success Russia has been having. I'll show you where I'm looking at here. And that might even be possible with all the money getting dumped into Ukraine from so many different countries. So that's possible. And of course, now Kiev has also been seizing more. Oh, here, I'll have to show you this. The Orthodox cross in graffiti. Whatever it says, I don't know. Spasi. I hope there's enough light in here to where you can see me walking through here. So, but they're Ukraine has been seizing more and more Orthodox churches. And obviously they're taking the wealth from these churches. And of course they're not going to be Orthodox anymore. They're going to turn from the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and they're going to turn them into the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, which is that fake religion, so to speak, that was created by the CIA and Poroshenko in Istanbul, you know, when they were there and they got the approval of some higher official from the Orthodox Church to create a heretical church, you know, for heresy. So terrible, terrible stuff. And we're using that to seize all the wealth from the other church and some of these old relics. Yeah, it's really sad, but that's how that's going here. And you also might know, religious-wise or spiritually, that Ukraine, Kiev, the government, is very angry with Pope Francis, because Pope Francis, just a few days ago, he came out and was talking about the almost like necessity or the beauty of Russian culture, the beauty of Russian literature, the beauty of Russian art. So he said, he was praising Russian art and culture and said Russia cannot be canceled. He said it was beautiful and profound, Russian culture. And he praised Chinese culture as well. And of course, maybe not because of his praising the Chinese, but as you know, somehow these people are very sick, very, very, very sick in the head in Ukraine. Some of these people that are in charge. And it really makes you wonder what this sickness is, if it's just like Nazism or what, you know, where they hate and hate and hate everything that has anything whatsoever to do with Russia or anybody that befriends Russia. And it's like, you know, they started coming out with this propaganda, you know, at some point in the past, like the Holodomor, and saying that they had some sort of a time when, you know, sort of like the Depression in the United States. And they blamed it all on Russia, even though they had more starvation in places in Russia than they did in Ukraine. But of course, it was all Russia's fault. And I don't know if they were saying it really back then or when that was created. And then they've also created, just like Putin said, a false narrative, a very false history, a fake history. You know, one of this history, like I've mentioned before, is the Ukrainians say that they built the pyramids of Egypt. It wasn't the Egyptians, it was the Ukrainians that built the pyramids of Egypt. Maybe some Egyptians helped out. I really don't know. And it's not just that, but they dug out the entire Black Sea with their bare hands, the ancient Ukrainians. Not to mention the fact that Ukraine, especially in ancient times, did not even have a seacoast. They were landlocked. They were a landlocked country just as much as Belarus. So it's like Belarus digging out the North Sea with their bare hands when they don't even have a port. And Ukraine in those days never had a port. And Ukraine was not even a country. Ukraine was just an area. and maybe there were people that spoke Ukrainian, but it had nothing to do with any kind of country, any kind of jurisdiction, nothing whatsoever, particularly in ancient times. You know, like I said, there are some people speaking Ukrainian and ancient times. Let's go back to ancient times, and you know, probably just running around half dressed, and yeah, it's just complete fabrication. They they create an entire fake history of everything like that, and I don't know. People don't question that, so you have to question everything. It's just, I don't know. It just astounds me, everything that goes on. You know, this cancel culture, and then I guess in place of it, you create a fake culture, a fake history. It's just incredible. And then the capacity of some people to hate. You know, like when you saw these, I don't know if any of you saw these, there's film footage of neo-Nazis in the United States, and some of them have their entire faces in tattoos. And of course their heads are shaved, you know, skinheads, so to speak. And there's some burly big guys, you know, and they're talking real tough. I didn't even hear what they said or nothing, but anyway, they, you know, they love Joe Biden because he sends money to Ukraine, which are Nazis. So there you go. So I don't know, don't have to go too much into that. Yes, and not to mention the fact there are a lot of these Ukrainians. They come home on leave. A lot of these soldiers, and most of them are these nationalist types of Ukrainians, and they commit rapes of children. And they just had, like, within a space of I think less than a day and a half or so, they had 2 cases of that, where these Ukrainian soldiers coming home and raping children. As a matter of fact, those 2 cases, they had to do with children of their own family. Not their, I'm not saying their immediate family, but they're like niece and other relatives, raping these children. Isn't that incredible? Raping any children, and then your own, I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that so much. Nobody really does. That's why you don't hear that much of that, as I've said. There was, one was a 13-year-old, it was his niece, and one soldier raped a 10-year-old, and this was in the Odessa region, not in the city, but in the region there. Yeah. Also, it was put out, I guess it was yesterday or maybe the day before, Shoigu put out, you know, the Ministry of Defense in Russia put out that since the counteroffensive has started, it's now been 3 months, Ukraine has lost 66,000 soldiers. The last time I think they announced it, it might have been when it was only 2 months. It was 43,000, I believe. It was a 43 or 45. Now it's 66,000 soldiers. Yeah, and there's a heroic colonel, Rustam Safalin. He said Ukraine is using live demining. And I have mentioned that, and I think other people have too. You know, you get it in the news. Maybe I should do this way. Probably can't see my face. It's like a shadow, but yeah, they're using live demining and just sending people. I guess it's a lot cheaper to send bodies through there if they don't have any Russian prisoners to send through, you know, to demine the area, so to get blown up, in other words, trying to get to the first line of the Russian defenses, which I believe they have. I think they have gotten to the first line in some places, and I guess Russia still continues to pound them, and they can't really do anything on those first lines. I don't know if they're permanently there. Maybe they keep getting beat back because they're getting hammered with artillery and still killing masses of them. I think it was just last night, I think there was huge destruction against the Ukrainian military. I just read it briefly. I'm not that positive. You might want to look that up yourself. Yes, but it's terrible. They're getting these. They're. I think it was Putin even talking about that also yesterday, talking about that they act as if these people, you know, are not even Ukrainian. The ones that they're sending through there, you know, it's how much it shows how much they love their own people. It's just like they say that the Donbass area is their area, but yet they're bombarding these people since the year 2014. They're bombing their own people, and the United States says nothing about that. The West says nothing about this. I guess that's perfectly fine, you know. And then they talked about Saddam Hussein gassing his own people, and I think they did that 10 years after he actually did it, because they was kind of friends with the U.S. at that time. They were using United States-produced poisonous gas. And then 10 years later, I think up in right before the Desert Storm, they started talking about Saddam Hussein gassing his own people, which was actually on the border of Iran, I believe that. And he gassed this village, and and it's nothing compared to the scale of what the U.S. has ever done, and Ukraine now in this case, because over a long period of time they killed a lot of people. And of course Ukraine also, they bomb, I think they bombed 2 schools. One was a kindergarten, I think it was even just in the last night. They bombed a kindergarten, or was it in the daytime? I don't know. But I know that there were a few children killed in the past 24 to 48 hours, so you'd have to look that one up yourself. I don't really report on that stuff so much because it happens every single day. So what's the point, mentioning everybody's deaths, and maybe it sounds bad that I don't, but it's just so repetitive. And like I said, the one thing that was significant to me is when Putin said that they are in the West, it's part of this cancel culture. They twist and use history to please politics. Isn't that incredible? And it's absolutely true. I don't know. That's probably about the best way to explain that. So now there's a point that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and I have to. There's a lot of people walking here. Look at this. Let's see. Lots of people coming this way, so some people coming this way here. I guess there's nowhere to go where there's no people. But anyway, this is a subject here that's near and dear to my heart here, because it's one of the reasons why I had to come here. This new COVID or new COVIDs coming up, Maybe I get a little bit censored, or my channel gets suppressed even when I just mention these names, the algorithms and all that sort of thing. So, but I don't know. How do they know that? I'll act like it's a big positive thing. Oh, that this thing is really coming to get us like the boogeyman, and we got to do something. So, anyway, supposedly, COVID hospitalizations in the United States are up 18% in the past week. And the CDC is recommending that when infections reach 20 people per 100,000, of course there was two readings on this, meaning 20 per 100,000. One was saying 20 hospitalizations per 100,000. Then I believe they said they will start initiating mandatory masks again. This is all about masking. But they were recommending that when there were 20 infections, I believe, per 100,000, that that it might bring the masking again. And one of the variants is called Iris, and I guess that's a Omicron variant. Like I said, I'm not really gonna say what I think about a lot of this stuff, because I'd get censored big time, and I've already been censored. So I'm not saying anything that they would not approve of, YouTube, because what narrative they want, and they've never stopped doing this. And it makes you really wonder, why have they never stopped? Why didn't they start adapting to the times like a lot of other places were doing? I can't really talk so much because like I said, I have to make it through the whole month of September at least and not get censored. Otherwise, I'll be totally canceled. I think like John Mark Dugan and Mike Jones, I think they're completely canceled. So I'm trying not to do that. But they say that in some states, mask mandates have already started, like in schools, public places, and hospitals. Some of the maybe areas within, or maybe the entire state, I don't know, New York, Georgia, California, and Alabama. Greenbow, Alabama, maybe. I don't know. And some are saying this variant, it's called BA.2.86, which is probably going to be phasing out because it doesn't have a name to it yet, unless somebody puts a name on it. They say that one can evade vaccination or prior infection immunity. So I don't know about that. First, I heard that it only evades those that have been what do I say, vaccinated, and actually what I heard, this is just what I heard, so don't cancel me, YouTube. I heard that if you have been vaccinated, you're more likely to get this variant. So like I said, that's not my words, that's what some people are saying. So you're more likely to get it, they say. That was unredacted, and I don't think they canceled them. So Natalie Morris was saying that. You're more likely to get that COVID if you've been vaccinated. And apparently, Jill Biden has again tested positive for COVID. I believe that was announced yesterday. And then September 2nd, just a few days ago, our good old friend, Mr. Science has come out. Mr. Science, he's come out and he said that you should start wearing masks again. Old Anthony Fauci, you know Mr. Science, Mr. Expert, Mr. the Great Anthony Fauci, even though he doesn't have that position anymore. And there's a lot of evidence that contradicts most everything that guy has ever said in the past couple of years, or year or so, since this stuff. Well, at one point he started changing his narrative, and I guess maybe I should even talk about what his narrative used to be and what his narrative is about vaccination and natural immunity. So I won't talk about that because YouTube doesn't agree with that, of course. And we have to do everything the way YouTube wants. We have to believe everything that YouTube wants to believe. We're not allowed to say our own opinion. So that's freedom of speech here on YouTube. Remember that. So, and another good point, that I saw the other day, it has nothing to do with COVID, but this is another important piece of information that really caught my eye, that China has now, and that was just today. They announced, or at least they finalized, that they are investing 40 billion, well, whatever the appropriate amount, not in yen or won. They're investing 40 billion US dollars in semiconductor infrastructure. In other words, to build factories and to do things that further the production of chips, not Lay's potato chips, but computer chips. It's because of the actions of the United States. So it's sort of like physics, when you get some action, you get a reaction based on that. And it's sort of like the Chinese philosophy of yin and yang. So the US does this and China does that. And I guess that's kind of why China and Russia, they don't actually really attack China, the United States in that kind of way. Even this, what people are calling de-dollarization, Putin says the goal is not the de-dollarization. They don't have anything to try to kill the dollar, but they just want to get out of the dollar because the United States has weaponized the dollar. And think about it. Look at what happened to Russia. So, and anyway, some people were asking me also about some kind of a way, like to send money and things to this side, and I believe I found a way. I don't think I should even mention it because even though the authorities probably know that, I just kind of discovered it. So there is a way, I guess, to send money to Belarus. But like I said, I'm not going to say at this point in time, unless somebody's really interested. I might announce it in a video, maybe by the end of September or so. Maybe, we'll see about that time. But anyway, they're investing in high tech and they're putting their money where their mouth is. China, it's incredible. They're building a Chinese industrial park here in Belarus, not far from the airport, and I want to go there. And like I said, I have a friend who's actually he's here. He's Chinese and a programmer, and he is learning Russian. And for Chinese, like I said, it's very, very difficult to pronounce in Russian. So at least that's something I can do better than Chinese. Not too much, but that's one of them. Just don't give us a math equation, because I'm going to lose my butt on that one. Okay, and I was mentioning yesterday, I did a video yesterday, and I was mentioning the grain harvest, and there's this grain deal, and Erdogan is is really anxious to get that going again, because Turkey was making huge amounts of money from that, and they need money very badly. You know, they had that terrible earthquake, and lots of problems. They had terrible fires there, and they were having a hard time even before those events. So Turkey is in really difficult times. It's amazing that Erdogan actually won that election, because normally they'll vote anybody out no matter if it's their fault or not. So, but the grain harvest, it's very possible that Russia could have a record grain harvest this year, because it's not yet complete. And right now, I guess it's very close to being the second highest grain harvest. So I think maybe by the end of September they'll know, maybe in October. I don't know when the last days of harvesting happen in Russia or anywhere, actually. I've never grew that kind of stuff. You know, they have like Oktoberfest, which actually is supposed to celebrate, you know, that the harvest is in Germany. But Oktoberfest is at the end of September. It's not in October, so but they just call it Oktoberfest. Just so you know. I don't even know where the heck I'm at, to be honest with you. Maybe I look at some nice trees here. It's like a little soccer field for some kids. It's like the goalpost is falling down on the other side, as maybe you can see. I walked past there already. Maybe you saw that. You didn't know what it was. Goalposts that were falling down. So anyway, like I said, the harvest is not quite in yet, so we'll find out if Russia's going to have a record grain harvest this year. And a lot of that's getting sent free, and of course they're sending it to a lot of African countries. It's either free or at a discount. So, and that's about all that has to say about that. Okay, I don't think I have to go this way. I don't know which way I came in here now. I think I'm going to go this way. It's kind of dark here. I don't know. Maybe it's maybe the quality of this video is not going to be quite so good at this moment, because the darkness, is less light is coming in. The camera is actually very good in low light, better than a lot of other ones. So it's a DJI Pocket 2 from China. It might be, I should show my friend if I see him again. I haven't seen him for many months, since Baranovici. So, but just chat with him kind of on WhatsApp and Telegram. So I don't know if he's a Huawei or DJI, or maybe some other smaller firm even, I don't know, in Shenzhen. Very highly advanced city. Yes. Okay, well, like I said, that's about it. And I, at this moment, don't have anything to say. Let's see, there was something I was maybe going to elucidate on. Maybe about learning Russian. What was that? That it's not that easy in Belarus. And like I said, in the meantime, I'm going to have to find a way where I can actually speak Russian, even after I'm done taking this class that starts on the 1st of October, I believe. And also remember, 2nd October, that's when Gonzalo Lira has his trial. So hopefully within a few days after the 2nd of October, we hear a little bit more about how that turned out. And I hope that I hope everything is fine with Gonzalo Lira. Like he said, he has a heart problem, and not very good. Not very good. I know how that is when they don't really give a damn about if you have any kind of problems like that. Tell you what, I'm going to have to take some time finding out how to get out of here. I don't live anywhere near here, so. Well, anyway then. So, thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you for the next one, whenever that is. And so, bye-bye.